We have another big list of college players that have left their college hockey teams and signed pro contracts with the NHL. 10 more to be exact. We'll get into all the latest coming up next. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams, so if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. So as I mentioned off the top, today we have 10 more signings of college players that have left their teams and signed with NHL clubs. Now some of these guys were drafted and had their rights held by NHL teams. There's also a fair bit of these guys that were undrafted free agents. So let's dive in and get started here with the Ottawa Senators, because they've got two players under contract. First being goaltender Joey Daccord. Now he actually signed a couple days ago. You may have heard about this one. And he's actually expected to make his NHL debut tonight against the Buffalo Sabres. They want to make sure they got him at least one game here before the end of the season. Kind of give him an audition here. But I fully suspect more than likely next year he would be one of their two goalies with the Belleville Senators. More than likely him and another youngster, Gustafsson, will be kind of their goalies of the future that they can look to develop in Belleville. But Daccord basically put Arizona State University hockey on the map. He's played there for 3 seasons, just completed his junior season, had fantastic results. Carried that team on his back, has basically been their MVP for the past couple of years. Phenomenal numbers. Now, a quick note about him as well, just a fun fact, his dad actually worked for their provincial rival, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and there was some concern that he may not sign with the Senators. He might return for his senior year at Arizona State and try to go the free agency route that some of these other college guys go. But he did note in an interview afterwards that he felt the need to be loyal to the Senators, who drafted him and have been doing a lot to keep up with him here over the past couple of years. And we'll see how his debut goes tonight against the Sabres. The Senators have also signed Jonathan Gruden, who was a 4th round selection in last year's entry draft, the 2018 draft. He was playing at college hockey for Miami U, but he's left after only 1 season. Prior to that, he was playing in the U.S. National Team Development Program and had some pretty solid numbers there. But his last season wasn't terrific from a stats perspective, but obviously his development has been relatively impressive according to the Senators. Another guy to add to your prospect pool here that can likely play in their American Hockey League system next year. So even though the Senators have bottomed out this year, they do have one of the better prospect pools around the NHL. And here's one more guy to add to the cupboard of prospects to see what he can become. He likely starts down in Belleville next season. The Vegas Golden Knights have signed defenseman Jimmy Schultz from St. Cloud State University, the 23-year-old defenseman. He's certainly one of the bigger names in the undrafted class of college free agents that have come about here. He's put up some fantastic numbers here at St. Cloud State the past few years, basically a point-per-game defenseman. Now, the one interesting thing about him is due to his age, he gets a 1-year entry-level contract, and he's going to be burning that year off, so the contract's only going to be lasting a matter of days here, so this contract's going to be very short, and then he will become an RFA during the summer and move over to a standard contract, at which point they can certainly discuss term. It could be a 1, 2, 3, whatever term they want to agree upon. But obviously, this is going to be an incredibly short contract, but it's for certainly low risk, low reward here. He could very well turn out to be a pretty solid player for Vegas, but if not, they don't have a commitment here long term. But he certainly looks good coming out of college, one of the more intriguing free agents here for sure. The San Jose Sharks have signed goaltender Andrew Shortridge out of Quinnipiac University. He also hails from Alaska as well, which is not a part of the country or North America that you really see a whole lot of hockey players coming from, but certainly had a pretty solid college career with Quinnipiac. This past season, he had a very stingy 1.51 goals against average and a .940 save percentage. His stats in college hockey were phenomenal, so obviously this could be a very good signing here by the San Jose Sharks. Obviously their goaltending this year has certainly been inconsistent. They do have a couple of pretty solid guys in Jones and Dell, just haven't been getting it done this year. And not that he's going to be the answer here this year, but certainly good to get another good prospect goalie into their system for the future. The New Jersey Devils have signed defenseman Jeremy Davies from Northeastern University. Davies was a 7th round pick back in 2016. In the past couple of years playing college hockey, he has put up some fantastic numbers, basically being a point-per-game defenseman, so very impressive to say the least. This is a great signing by New Jersey. They could certainly use some more blue-chip prospects for their blue line, and he looks like he might be the real deal here. He gets a 2-year entry-level contract to get things started. The LA Kings have signed undrafted free agent center iceman Blake Lizotte to a 3-year entry-level contract. This past year, he put up more than a point per game, putting up 42 points in 37 games. So overall, looks like he's a pretty solid prospect. So certainly some very solid offensive numbers coming out of St. Cloud State. So we'll see if that can translate to the NHL or not. But Lazov's certainly a low risk, low reward. A lot of these guys really are coming out of college hockey. They're certainly a more mature player, a little bit older. So we'll see if he can jump into the pro ranks and keep things going here for the LA Kings. The New York Islanders have signed undrafted college free agent Mason Jobst, who's a 25-year-old guy out of Ohio State University. It's a center iceman. He's had a terrific college career. Throughout his 4 years at Ohio State, he's put up more than a point per game for his entire career. He's been very solid, very consistent, certainly older, a little bit more mature player. Due to his age, he doesn't get an entry-level contract. He actually gets a standard player contract, and he has signed a 2-year deal. Very interesting signing here by the New York Islanders. He very well could turn out to be a late bloomer and make an impact at the NHL level. But the Islanders are certainly a team who surprised many this year with their strong play and excellent results. And they do have some other interesting prospects to kind of consider into all this as well for next year and beyond. So it'll be interesting to see how he fits into their plans going forward. The Florida Panthers have signed goalie Ryan Bednar out of Bowling Green University. He was originally a draft pick of theirs back in the 7th round of the 2015 NHL Draft. His stats playing college hockey have been phenomenal. This past year, he completed the season with a 1.77 goals against average and a .927 save percentage. Considering where the Florida Panthers are at with all things, especially around their goalies, this is a great signing. I mean, he's 22 years old. He gets a 2-year contract. They obviously have youngsters Samuel Montembeault, who kind of stepped up recently, got some playing time with the big club and has looked pretty decent. You got Roberto Luongo nearing retirement. James Reimer has been an inconsistent injury play guy as well. So they certainly need more goaltenders in their system. So this is really a great signing here for the Florida Panthers. Hopefully his transition to the pro game will continue producing these types of numbers, and he'll turn out to be a great signing here for the Florida Panthers. The Vancouver Canucks have signed 2 players out of college hockey, both of which are undrafted free agents. First up, we got Brogan Rafferty, who's a 23-year-old defenseman out of Quinnipiac University. This past season, he put up 24 points in 38 games. They've also signed 22-year-old goalie Jake Kielly out of Clarkson University as well, and he's had a pretty solid season himself, putting up a 1.91 goals against average and a .929 save percentage. So as we know, the Vancouver Canucks have been pretty forward heavy here in recent years. We've seen them kind of focus more on the blue line as of late. In goaltending, they got Jacob Markstrom, who's had a pretty decent year, considering all things. So obviously, right now he's the goalie of the present for sure. Hard to say how much longer that'll be, but they do have some youngsters like Thatcher Demko and Michael DiPietro coming in the wings. Then now they add this guy into the mix here as well. I do think that there is some that might have lost a little bit of confidence in Demko so far. His development has taken a long time, and DiPietro is still young enough that there's still a lot of confidence there. But it's nice to have a nice full cupboard of goalie prospects in your system. So a couple of great signings here by the Canucks. We'll see if either of these guys turn out to be players for them here longer term. One other signing as well to announce today, which is not college hockey related, but coming out of junior, is a 6'6" Justin Brazeau, who's a little bit of a late bloomer in the OHL for the North Bay Battalion. Obviously, he is a guy who's getting a lot of attention for putting up some terrific offensive numbers, one of the top scorers in the league, and he has signed a 2-year AHL contract with the Toronto Marlies. Now, no, this is an AHL contract, not an NHL contract, so therefore he's only eligible to play in the American Hockey League for right now. The Maple Leafs would have to sign him to an NHL contract in order to bring him up. Other NHL clubs also would still have the opportunity to offer him, and he could sign an NHL contract with another club as well. It's certainly a possibility, although the Maple Leafs would have the option of matching and keeping him there as a part of their organization. But he is certainly a prospect that a lot of people are very interested in. Like I said, he's 6'6". He's certainly has some question marks around his skating, but the numbers he's been putting up, even though he's a bit of a late bloomer in the Ontario Hockey League, he should be dominating, putting up huge numbers. Considering a lot of players in that league are 2 or 3 years younger than him. Considering the numbers he's been putting up, though, it's a really low-risk move by the Leafs to give him a shot to play pro hockey here, see how that transitions, and see if the numbers can translate to that level. And then if so, they could look at bringing him to the NHL a little bit later, or if not, he could be another trade chip here. They get a lot of good young forwards. They're going to have a lot of decisions to make, obviously, this summer. Obviously, with all the contracts they have to look after. So it's hard to say how Brazeau fits into their long-term plans, but either way, it's a low-risk signing. He can play in the American Hockey League and see if he can put up anything close like he's been doing in junior for this season. Of course, as always, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions on all these signings. If you have any questions or thoughts on these players, certainly leave them down below in the comments, and we can continue the conversation. If you're new to the channel, I hope you consider subscribing. We cover all 31 NHL teams, and there's plenty of content here for all hockey fans to enjoy. So if you're new, hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up before you go. I would appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you very much for watching. We will catch you next time.